now we get back to paying attention, and your host.
Hi, I'm Joe Zingales.
Here's Tom Duggan.
Hey, Joe Zingales. We love Joe Zingales. All right, so we're back. I thought that was a fascinating discussion with Karina and Brooke. I'm actually even more shocked that I remember Brooke's name because I can't remember names for crap anymore. I'm just getting way too old. I thought it was a fascinating discussion, and we would definitely have her back on. Karina is doing amazing work, and I get to see it firsthand. I feel very lucky. I've been at Daybreak a number of times. We actually found a guy sleeping on the street one day, and it was like literally a block from the Daybreak homeless shelter. And we're like, why are you sleeping here? There's a homeless shelter a block away. And he's like, yeah, they won't let me in. I don't have an ID. It was just not true. So we got him over there, and his name is Louis Rosalie. He's actually still there. That was about 3.5 months ago, and he's still there. He's actually getting ready to transition into a different program. Sitting to my left, however, is a guy who, it's funny when you meet your heroes.
Oh, stop it.
No, seriously. So, everybody knows that, I'm not a sports guy at all. I don't know a touchback from a hat trick. But I'm really into music. And I listen to music in my car all the time. I listen to it at the office all the time. I stumbled about maybe 5 or 6 years ago onto this local band called Prospect Hill. So I found it online, and I started listening. The first song that I heard was Roller Coaster, and I was like, how are these guys not multi-billionaires? This is better than Van Halen, right? So I'm listening to it constantly, and I'm someone who I never get sick of anything once I like it. I can still recite every single line from Steve Martin's Let's Get Small album. I used to listen to it when I was a kid. Because I don't have a shut-off button. Once I find something funny, it's always funny to me. Once I like a song, I'm always going to like it. So I'm listening over and over and over and over again. And then I found out they were playing local. I didn't even know you guys were a local band, right? First I found the music. I didn't find out you were. I didn't know that. I found out you were a local band. Then your dad called me. Yeah. And he said, hey, I don't know if you know me. We bumped into each other a couple of times. He started telling me, my kid has this band, and you're always talking about it on Facebook. That's my kid's band. He's like, they're going to be playing locally. Why don't you come see them? So we did. We went out. We watched you guys one night, and you had no idea who I was. I had no idea who you were. And I was so friggin' blown away by what you guys do in concert. Most concerts you go to today, if it's a band, they sound horrible in concert because what they do in the studio is they use all these electronics to make their voices sound good. You guys apparently don't do that. Because I'm sitting here at the Clada, and I'm listening to you guys, and it's almost better than the studio version of what you did. And I'm just completely blown away. And now I'm like, okay, now I'm going to meet these guys. Like, I have to somehow use my small local celebrity ship to try and find a way in with these guys because what they're doing is amazing. And whether it's a politician or a band, I have tremendous respect for people who are really good at what they do and love what they do. And it's very obvious that you guys do. How's that for a build-up? Mark Roberge, the mastermind of Prospect Hill. Thank you so much, Tom. That was great. I didn't realize that you didn't know who we were. Yeah, at first I did. That we were local. Yeah, that's funny. Yep. And then you guys called me and said, hey, why don't you come? We're going to practice. Come hang out with us while we're practicing. You came down to the garage. Yeah, we couldn't video any of that, though. Yeah. That was a fun night. That was one of my fun nights. I look back on that as one of my most fun nights. Yeah, it's been a while now. How many years have we known each other now? Maybe 6, 7? Yeah. Yep, 7. And then we get to the St. Patrick's Day Parade, which is great because you guys were in the St. Once we became friends, just for people at home, once we became friends, I'm in the St. Patrick's Day Parade every year, and I put my dad's banner in the parade, and I said, you know what would be great? What if we could get Prospect Hill into the parade? And so I called Mark, and I said, listen, we're going to be in the parade next week. And before I could ask the question, he goes, yeah, how do we get into that? We want to play in the parade. We want to do something good for the local people. So they were in the parade, and I said, only one condition, we get to be the car behind you so we can hear you through the whole parade playing your music. And you guys did. You guys played your entire repertoire through that whole parade. I got to hear it all live. It was awesome. Well, guess what? You get to do it this year. Really? You're going to do it again this year? Actually, I got the contract getting sent out today. Excellent. Excellent. If you have any problem, call John Drew. He's a friend of ours. He runs that whole thing. I believe that's who just reached out to us. Good. Excellent. No, I'm going to make sure that we're behind you so we can hear you the whole way through. That's going to be great. That'll be good stuff. So tell us, first kind of explain what Prospect Hill is, how you guys started. Then we want to get into what you've turned it into, what you do now. Okay, Prospect Hill is basically, it's 6 friends. It started off
as 5, and it's built on. It's become like a family situation now. So we've had members leave and members come back, but we all started out collectively right around high school. Some of us were playing even before that, around like 8th grade, 7th grade, and we're just a ragtag bunch of guys from Lawrence and the surrounding areas, just trying to build a band to create a band and write songs and build a scene. And that's basically what we ended up doing. We just kind of went out there, started playing our own shows, making our name nationally, and then touring nationally, and then going overseas. And here we are now. The band won't die. It's like no matter what we do, we don't tour as much anymore, but the brand is still there, and people are excited about the new releases that we got coming out. And it's been a grind, just like anything else. It's you got to put the time in, and we put about over 10 years worth of work. Going down the East Coast, going out to the Midwest, going out to California, and just building it up. And
I was nervous when you guys said you were going to do a second album, because as a music fan, right? Even growing up as a kid, you find an album that you love it so much, and then they say, okay, we're going to come out with another album, and it's kind of a disappointment because you're expecting it to be as awesome as that first one.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just because they're different. Like Van Halen all of a sudden started using like keyboards and stuff, and you're like, what the hell is this? But when you guys did your second album, I started listening to it, and it was almost like rediscovering the first album. It was just as good, if not better, than it was obvious that you guys had learned more about music and more about how to fine-tune your craft and your creativity. Because that second album was amazing. It was so amazing. You guys put my daughter in it.
Oh, yeah.
You guys put my daughter in the video, right?
Yeah.
In fact, Rich is in your video as well. He's in the Knockout Game video.
Oh, yes, he is.
Step Out of Line,
yeah.
And then, by the way, great song.
Good job.
Even better video, but great song.
Yeah, that was a good time. I mean, we wanted to do something bigger than ourselves, and that's kind of what the approach we took toward it. And we worked really hard. We worked with some really great people to get some really great music, and we same thing with the videos and everything that we did media wise, and that's basically what brought us to where we are now, where we're able to play these shows. And
what was it like when you went from like a local band and you got that call to play at like the Patriots game or to play in like Germany, or you guys went out to some like wacky island somewhere out in the Pacific? I remember you called into the radio show one day. You were like out at some Pacific island somewhere.
Yeah. We played the Marshall Islands. We haven't done Germany yet. There is talks right now of a European tour over the summer, which might take us to Germany. But yeah, we got to play the Marshall Islands, which is really cool. It's basically a set of islands in the Pacific, between basically Hawaii and Australia, or between Hawaii and Japan, whichever way you want to look at it. We basically took over the islands during World War II. We took them from Japan, and now we have a military base, and it's the only military base in the world that's occupied by the U.S. that actually civilians live on. So civilians can live on these islands, and they don't get any entertainment. They're secluded out there in the middle of this tropical, beautiful island. So we got flown out there to play for the troops and for the civilians out there. And it was
Sorry, I was looking for a plug because my computer's ready to die.
No worries.
I apologize.
It's all good.
It's all on-air production here on the Paying Attention podcast.
Yeah. You got to multitask.
If I was more prepared, if I didn't have like 20,000 friggin' projects going on at once, this would be a much better show.
I hear you. It's all good. This is great. The show's great.
So you guys are like local guys, and you start getting the calls to go out to like the islands and play the Patriots game. What was that like to play the Patriots game? Like you grew up, say I'm not a football fan, I'm not a sports fan, but you are.
Yeah.
And you love the Patriots.
Yep.
And you get a phone call to play at a Patriots game. You must have just been like walking on clouds for a week after that call.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was great. Anytime we get any type of amazing opportunity like that, it's surreal. It makes you realize like, wow, music is bringing us to this point. Our music stuff we created, our art as a collective is bringing us to these great opportunities, whether it's the Patriots game, whether it's touring across the country or going overseas, or even getting like when we got our song placed on ESPN, that was a really big deal for us. That was cool. We were watching NFL football, and then Fox NFL picked it up. So you're sitting there watching Sunday football, and all of a sudden your song comes on.
Isn't that awesome?
That's pretty awesome.
That's gotta like I get all excited when I walk into Heavenly Donuts and someone's reading my newspaper. I can't imagine if I'm like watching a Patriots game and all of a sudden like. Yeah. My song came up. Like that's got to be. You guys must have been walking on clouds when that happened. That's phenomenal.
It's cool, and we continue to do it. We just have slowed it down a little bit. Everybody's gotten their own thing. Everyone has their own thing that they're doing right now, and so we all come together collectively
Because you guys kind of like broke up, right? You broke up a little bit, and then you guys kind of went all kind of like Kiss, right? Kiss broke up. They all kind of went and did their own stuff, but they still got together as Kiss.
Yeah.
And you guys kind of did the same thing. You kind of went your separate ways, and you started. Don't tell me, Ono Octopus. Is that it?
Yeah, Ono Octopus is it's basically my producer group with Sean Lichtenstein, who's the guitar player and songwriter for the band Lansdowne. So him and I met while we were out touring together. They're another band from the Boston area that did really well. And we decided we wanted to start producing bands, doing some artist development, creating a place where artists that are coming up from New England can go and get the help and get the consulting and get the quality of product that you can get out in LA. Because nothing like that existed for me when I was coming up. It was like, you kind of just throw things at the wall and see if it works.
Right.
And so what happens is you spend a bunch of money and you make a lot of mistakes. And we wanted to kind of help the scene here in New England so that artists and bands that are coming up, they can come through us and we can do it right for them, show them where to spend the money, make sure they get the product, and then we can connect them all across the world and the country with our network. So that was basically what we did. And we've been producing artists, we've been filming music videos, we've been doing all types of marketing and branding, and we do it across all the artists and bands, and then we also do it across brands. Recently we worked with Under Armour and Tom Brady and Concepts.
Yeah, don't gloss over that.
Yeah.
So you guys, so we met, right? We had lunch at Sal's one night. We had drinks at Sal's, and you said, I don't know if you looked at my website yet. It's red13creative.com. So I go home and I get to the office, and because to me, home and the office is the same thing at this point.
Yeah.
So I got to get back to the office and I pull it up, and there's Tom flipping Brady on your website holding the sneaker endorsement that you guys put together. How did that happen? So now you went from being in awe, watching a Patriots game and your song comes on. What's it like when you get the phone call to work with Tom Brady?
Well, it's great how it all worked out because we one of our videographers and editors that we work with on our team, his name's Austin. We call him Boston Austin. He got the call from his friend over at Concepts, and he was like, "Hey, put together the reel, send it over. I have a great opportunity for you." So Austin basically, put together some of the stuff he was working on, some of the stuff we were working on, and we sent over the reel. We got the job. He went over with Jim Foster, our director.
Jim's awesome, by the way.
Jim's the man.
I love him.
And they went over there, and it was very tight. The security was crazy, obviously, like you would expect. And they were, very hesitant about how many people can be there and how many people could be on set. And so it was like we got them down to like 2 people. So we just sent Jim and Austin. I didn't even get to go, which was unfortunate, but at least it was great for the team and for the brand. And they went out there, they captured it, came back, edited it, put it out, and then the company Concepts that it was attached to with Under Armour, they released the media and the shoes that were, the Tom Brady, the ones they gifted him in the video, they sold out in like 15 minutes.
Wow.
Not even.
Wow.
It might even been,
Like you could sell a piece of cardboard if you put Tom Brady's name on it.
Anything, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you guys end up, working with him or his people, right? You got to meet him, and I saw the video of you guys with the sneakers.
Yeah, I didn't, but my guys did. You know, so which was nice.
So now moving forward, you're going to be doing more with him. Is it going to be hopefully more?
I don't know. I think it was
because we want to use you to somehow get to him.
To get to Tom. Yeah, I don't know if that'll happen.
Damn it!
It wasn't really like that, but it was a good opportunity. It was kind of like one of those things that boom, it happens, and it was great. And recently we got to work with through IRL Events, who's they're close friends of ours. They run Comic-Con out in Silicon Valley for Steve Wozniak, the founder of Apple. So we did some marketing with them on their job, and we also did some work on their E3, which is this massive gaming convention out in LA. It's like every single video game company is there, and then any new video game that's coming out for the year gets announced there. And
wow,
it's like a massive expo. So we did some work with them as well. So we've been doing some really good stuff. So, we have the team Red 13 Creative, which is basically our marketing and branding side of things. And then we have Red 13 Studios, which is our location, which is the membership program for all the artists and the bands coming up.
And I don't think people understand like how ingenious this is, because I used to be in a band, and we'd have to spend all kinds of money to rent space to either practice or record a commercial. Record a song or record a video. And you know what it's like being in a band, right? You think it's going to take 3 days, but then a fight happens, and nobody likes the idea that you're doing, and 3 days becomes 2 weeks, and all of a sudden everybody's broke. So what you guys decided to do, and just tell me if I'm wrong about this from when we were hanging out talking, they pay like a gym membership.
Yep.
And so it's not like if they go 3 extra days, it's going to cost them, an extra $1,000, and then they're going to be broke. they buy like a gym membership to Red 13, and they can kind of come in and use the stuff whenever it's available, whenever they want, right?
So they get basically, they pay the $50 a month, and then that gives them a discounted use of all of our facilities, whether it's the video side of it, the photo side, or the recording studio, and they get it at a very, very minimal rate. That it's $25 an hour, and that's with an engineer
huge.
or a videographer
right.
or a photographer, and then we have all these other things as well. We're basically right now looking at some opportunities for investment to expand and get this thing going. But what I'd like to do is have all these stations where they could come in, just like you're saying, and they don't need anybody to assist them. And if they have a membership, they can come in and just utilize some of these spots, some of these stations, recording stations. So that's going to be the next.
And by the way, I was actually for those listening, I was actually at your studio. I came down with, I forget who I came down with, but I came down with somebody, I think. And we were, Jonathan. And it's huge. All right, so you could have 5 bands in there at once doing stuff, and it would not even be in each other's way. But second of all, it's beautiful. Like I'm walking, I felt like I was in LA. Like nice. I walked through your sound studio, and then you guys had like another room where the windows were, and then you had another sound studio, then you had a video studio, and every time I turned into another room, it was something else even more spectacular than the last room I was in. And I'm like, how is this guy not like a billionaire already? Like you're a genius at everything. Everything you've found a way to come up with, you've done it in a way that nobody else has done it. Like you're outside the box on all of the projects that you're working on.
We're working away. Our biggest thing is, in what you saw, and I appreciate that. That's awesome to hear that you had that first impression, because that's what we're looking for, is to basically have that.
And I'm not just kissing your ass. If I thought it sucked, I'd tell you.
No, I know you would, and I appreciate it. You know I would. You're a real guy. So
the only thing that was missing was the girls. There were no groupies.
Well, you missed. It was an off day.
Oh, okay.
All right. I'll let you know on the next.
Of course, the day that I'm there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I told. But I
require. I'm single again, so I require groupies.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So we'll get you on a day when all the models are there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So basically what it is we decided we wanted to have a feel and aesthetic to the whole place, so that there's a vibe when you walk in, right? And which it seems like it worked. But
it was a wow. Like you opened the door and I was like, whoa, like what is this?
Yeah. We wanted to create that feel that it almost gives you like that LA vibe, because that's the whole thing. We're connecting musicians to the industry as a whole, on the real level, on the big level, because like the way I like to compare it right now, New England's number 1 in universities, right? Number 1 in the medical field, and number 1 in sports, right? Now, if we were to take the music industry and we were to, utilize it and break it into teams, and, Miami is against New England, or Nashville's against New England, or LA's against, we'd get smoked. Atlanta would be beating us. Everybody would be beating us right now. And that's the whole, the principle of our whole team right now. We want to get New England at the top of the pack. We want to assemble all the artists, all the creatives, everybody that's here in New England that's killing it, bring them into our house, and kick ass.
There's no question that the music industry has had a tremendous transformation from even 10 years ago. And artists that are coming up, it's going to change. It's going to continue changing. And so artists that are coming up have to find a way to ply their craft, to get the word out without getting ripped off, right? They want their music out there. They want their music heard and talked about. But they're musicians. They're not writers. They're not producers. They're not marketing people. They come to you. You have all that stuff, right?
Yep.
So if you're a band and you've got the talent, but that's all you have, 5 years ago, you had nowhere to go. You'd be playing clubs in Lawrence until someone discovered you. Now you go to Red 13 Creative Studios with Mark, and they walk you through the process. And they've got the friends, and they've got the contacts in the music industry, the writing industry, the marketing industry. And I think you've created something out of nothing, and you created a concept out of nothing that 5 years from now, people are going to be looking back and going, wow, that's the most innovative thing. I can't believe no one was doing that.
That's the plan, and we're looking to scale this thing and make it go national. Have the ability, if you're a member, you can go to Nashville and you could go right to the facility we have in Nashville, the one in Chicago, the one down in Miami. We're going to build this thing, and we're going to make it so that this is its own scene. And our biggest goal is to bring opportunity for all these artists and creators, because a lot of them don't understand even how to make any money with their craft. And that's the thing. They're all just throwing it out there, and they're not figuring out how to monetize it and how to create a career. And so, that's how you'll see a great artist, and they'll put out music and there'll be 1,000 plays on it, and that's it.
Right.
And it's like, what the hell? Why has that only got 1,000 plays? It's because no one really understands the whole game, and there's a whole concept around how to, strategically attack your audience and figure out who they are, find the target audience, and then then smash it and then build a show, an event around it so that you can monetize it correctly.
I should have you doing my marketing.
Yeah, right. I know we've been dancing around it. I know it's just we got busy, you got busy, and that's how it goes.
Yeah.
But I'd like to. We're gonna make it happen.
I'm looking forward to it. I keep telling everybody, like, I don't care that it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
We both want to work together, so that's gonna happen. At some point, we're gonna have you guys. I'm gonna have you guys run all my social media stuff, monetize everything, because I'm sick of being poor.
Yeah.
You know, we had a long conversation about how sick I am of being poor, but mostly because I give everything away, and so I have to stop doing that too. Can I talk about something controversial, or is it all going to be a happy interview?
Yeah, whatever you want.
All right, so you guys did this video that Rich is in, my daughter's in, Step Out of Line. It made a pretty powerful political statement, and I thought it was very bold, and hopefully you can talk about this a little. It was pretty bold in this left-wing fascist culture that we have, where if you express any view outside of the approved CNN view, you're a bad person and you're attacked by the left. You're attacked by Hollywood. You're attacked by CNN and everybody in their network. You released this video, Step Out of Line, that was real. I'll let you describe it, but it was pretty politically incorrect, and it has to do with what's going on right now, right? You guys are ahead of the curve on that too.
Yeah.
It's about the gun laws, and it's about gun rights, and it's about protecting yourself. Talk about that.
Well, I mean, basically at the time there was this game that was happening. It was called the Knockout Game, and it was like, in all these like really urban areas where kids were just kind of, making it a point to go and randomly sucker punch somebody on the street, and it was like this game that they were all playing, and they thought it was funny, and you'd see it on like World Star Hip Hop, and you'd see it everywhere. And our take on it was like, my biggest thing with any of all this stuff, it's like, why is this happening? Like, why is this these violent tendencies happening? Why are these mass school shootings happening? And I think everything ends up staying on the shallow side of it. Like, no one really goes deeper because it's it's easy. It's an easy target to say, oh, it's guns or it's this or it's that. But it's like, no, there's been a turn in society somewhere where this has all started to happen in America, and it's way deeper than that, and I think that's we wanted to kind of portray that and show that in the video, where it's a lot. It's a combination of things. It's the prescription drugs, maybe, and these are all questions that we're raising in the video. We're not sitting here saying exactly what it is, but it could be prescription drugs.
You're not taking a side. This is what's brilliant about your video is most people have an opinion, and through their craft they express that opinion. You didn't do that. You presented the problem, and you did it in a way that makes people think about it maybe differently than the way they were thinking about it. And that's what I try to do in my writing when I'm doing new stuff, right? Did you get any backlash from that? I mean, I watched the video a lot, right? Because I listen to your music a lot. And every time I watch it, especially at the very end, I go, how the fuck did these guys get away with this?
Yeah.
Like, how did YouTube not take it down? How did Facebook not block them? I mean, I express a view on mental health, and I'm blocked for 3 days. How did you do that?
Well, I mean, the funny thing was the timing of that video. We put the video out, and that's kind of when the band had a little bit of a shakeup. So we kind of got stunted on the marketing with it. But we were actually, discussing revisiting it and kind of pushing it because of the times right now. But our whole thing was we just wanted to create the conversation and show every side of it, all the pieces of media, everything that gets exposed, everything that it's almost like everybody just wants to enhance stuff to just create an argument, as opposed to like really just have an actual discussion about things,
right.
Logical discussions, and find out the root of problems instead of what's just sitting on the top of it.
Right.
Like everyone's always talking about Band-Aids. It's like, let's really figure out what the hell's causing the issue.
Right.
And that was kind of what we wanted to get to and show the perspective of everybody. Every walk of life in that video is in who's affected by these things, and then what the outcome could be and why it would happen. And that's basically what Step Out of Line was.
And there was some pretty controversial video shots in that video as well. Punching out Miley Cyrus. I clapped the first time I saw it, even though I was alone in my office. And then my next thought was, these guys are going to get killed. Hollywood's going to kill these guys.
Yeah.
And you got no backlash out of it at all.
No, we didn't get enough of backlash. I thought we were going to get there was going to be a battle, but there wasn't much.
I can help you with that. I heard I'm really good at controversy.
You can rile some people up.
We can rile some people up.
Yeah. We're down. Listen, I like creating a conversation. I don't get offended. If anyone gets mad, that right away you win the argument.
Right.
So it's like a lot of people, if you want to come and you want to have an actual conversation with me, I'll have it all day. But if you're going to get upset and you're going to start name calling, it's like, you lost. You already lost. Yeah.
So I get it all the time. I mean, people are just constantly accusing me of being every ism you can imagine: a racist, a sexist, a homophobe, anti-Muslim, all this kind of stuff. But then the conversation stops Because as soon as somebody's accusing you of something, well, you're not talking about the issue anymore. They made it about you.
Yeah.
Now you're having a conversation about you. You're not solving a problem.
Exactly.
Seems like that's all we hear today, especially on CNN and in the news media. Are you worried going forward? Like, what happens with you guys if you start to really peak and all of these things start taking off, and then the fascists in Hollywood start looking back at what you guys have done, like with Step Out of Line and some of the other stuff? Are you worried that that's going to hinder your success in the future?
No.
Really?
No, I'm not worried.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not worried at all.
Because you got warriors out here like me who will defend you, but I'm not like, I'm not meathead, right? I don't run Hollywood. So these guys are multimillionaires and they do run Hollywood.
I think I can hold my own. I'm not worried about anybody out there. I feel like my views and my stance on everything is just based off of logic. So it's just based on understanding the problem, and I don't really sway to one side or the other. I just look at the situation. Every situation is different. So I'm not going to have a straightforward opinion across every single situation.
Right.
Every situation is different.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of one of the things too. Everyone holds on to their beliefs or what they think, and then what happens is when a situation arises, they already have the belief before they actually dig in and find out what the hell happened.
Right.
So that's an issue. That's an issue across the country. Everyone is just, they read headlines. You know what I mean? No one really digs into the article.
No one wants the substance. They don't want to learn what it really is. They just want to pick pile on. They want to jump on a bandwagon and pretend that they were part of it.
It's a buzzword, world right now. It's like, okay, what is the next buzzword coming out, and let's just jump on the bandwagon and say we're on this side or that side. It's like, there's so many things, like when it comes to like, the best thing is like right now our president Donald Trump, he feeds off of it and he knows it and he utilizes it, and some people don't even get that's what he's doing.
Right.
That he's just manipulating everybody to a point on a way because he knows it's going to get reaction and he knows he's going to get what he wants out of it. He uses it as a leverage on every single one of
the news is so stupid they fall for it every single time because they so emotionally hate Donald Trump that like they were going to talk about him being a Russian spy for 3 days, but he says to his wife, "Hey, watch this," and he grabs his phone and he types "Kafafi," and that's all they talk about for 3 days. They stopped talking about Russia. They stopped talking about him being a Nazi. They stopped talking about how much and it's all about whatever he tweeted that day. He's a genius. I mean, he's playing them, but nobody's learning anything.
Well, I think the biggest thing right now is America is at a point where they had to take a big look at themselves, right? Where everyone had to take a mirror and really look at themselves. And if you think about it, America as a capitalistic country is in basically the way we've been moving forward, even with the media, financially, just morally, everything. It's like President Trump is us looking at ourselves in the mirror.
Absolutely.
And nobody likes to see what they look like in the mirror.
Right.
And that's one of those issues. Like, you turn the lights on, you look in the mirror, and you're like, wait a minute, whoa, that's what I really look like?
Right.
Fuck that. You know what I mean? And that's one of the issues. And so everyone isn't taking it in for what it is. And it's like, okay, listen, if you wanted real change, you need to look at yourself first. And if you don't like the way you look, if you don't like Trump, you don't like the way you look, then we got to change as a country internally. And that's one of those things that I say is like, dig deeper. What's the fucking issue here?
Right.
If you don't like who the president is and you don't like what he's doing, well, he's the representative of what this fucking country is now.
Right.
And how people think and how they view things and how they see it and how it's such a, dog-eat-dog world out there. It's like, well, if you don't like that, how it is, then that's where you make the change.
Right.
You don't bitch about it. You go, what the fuck? Fuck that. We're going to fix this.
Right. I think it's always hysterical when Trump comes out and he attacks CNN by name. And he says that they're fake news and that they lie. And then, of course, I flip on CNN because I want to see how they're going to cover it because it's always hysterical. So he says it, and then Jake Tapper comes on and says, coming from a guy who lied about how many people were at an inauguration and this and this and this, and he lists like 5 things that they think Trump lied about. But what they're not doing is addressing the fact that, boy, if it's wrong for him to lie, how does that make it okay for you guys to lie every single day about him? I mean, if Trump was half as bad as they say he was, they wouldn't have to lie. He comes out and he talks about Mexico, the government of Mexico is not sending us their best and brightest, and he makes that famous quote about how they're sending rapists. And CNN takes that, they turn it into he called all Mexicans rapists, and they push that narrative. Now, what he said was pretty bad enough, right? But if he was half as bad as they say he is, why would they have to lie? Why would they have to take what he says? The other day, Wayne LaPierre said, the head of the NRA, said that some people in the political world, in the news world, are exploiting the deaths of these children. And then the minute he said it, they go back to Wolf Blitzer, and Wolf Blitzer's got on the screen a kid from the shooting and says to the girl, so what do you think that Wayne LaPierre just said that you're exploiting the deaths of your fellow students? No, it's not even close to what he said.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, like, why? If he was that bad, why would they have to lie?
Well, I don't even think it's the reasoning for why they're lying. I think it's just it's creating so much viewership. It's creating audience. They're making money off of all this. So no matter what, it's just like steamrolls. Like, no
but they're doing everything that they're accusing him of doing.
Well, all it is just like there's a counter argument here. There's a country split, and if you side on one side, you're going to get the views from both sides, no matter what. So you got to draw a line in the middle. That's what media does now. That's what the news media does. So they just pick a side because they know that they're going to have the support of one side, but they're also going to have the trolls on the other side. So that's all this is what this has all become now. It's just a big stupid fight.
See, I always said if I had a rich friend, hint hint, if I had a rich friend who wanted to start a real news network, I could blow away CNN and Fox in one day because it would be called Just News. It would be the Just News Network. And it would be none of these opinion panel shows. It would be none of this, I'm going to tell you what Donald Trump really meant when he said this. It's going to be, here's what Donald Trump said, here's what the Democrats said, you decide for yourself which is right, and then move on to the next story. CNN spends all day on one flipping story. Like something happens. If there's a shooting right now in Oregon, they're going to talk about that for 3 days and nothing else. Missing children, Alzheimer's patients that walk away, anything else that happens that's news. I mean, Trump threw ISIS out of Syria. They never once covered it. Yeah. They were so busy covering whatever that news story of the day was. When I was growing up, we had actual news. You put the news on and it was objective, and they told you what happened and then left it for you to think about what that meant. Well, today they tell you what to think. Donald Trump lied today. Well, if you start off with Donald Trump lied today, how is this news?
Well, I think the biggest thing is like the way news is fed to people now, it's based off of social media now. So depending on what your view is, it's being read by the algorithms, and they just keep feeding you everything that you already agree to, or there's no
it's not news anymore.
There's no other perspective. So like my thing is I don't follow news at all anymore. Like I don't even watch it. I don't even have cable anymore. I cut the cord. I do Apple TV.
Good for you.
I don't have time to watch any of this shit. I check in on Facebook here and there, and when there's a major event, what I do is I always do my homework. I hit every single news station very quickly. Boom, boom, see what everyone's saying. Then I dig in, and then if there's actual AP or there's any like actual legislation passed or anything deeper, I go as deep as I can to the root, and then get as much knowledge on it as myself, and that way I can have my own opinion on it. And that's the way I do it, but I know that the rest of the country does it because that's a lot of work.
Right.
That's like, fuck that. I'm just going to take the headline, and I'm going to run with that because I like that.
Yep.
And that's all it is. So it's like I don't care enough to make a first assumption. I care enough to go deeper, and then it's not like an active thing. It's like every now and then I check in if there's a real thing going on because, I'm too fucking busy, honestly.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I have no time in the day.
One of the highest compliments I ever got was when you and I were having drinks at Sal's, and you said, as soon as you go live on Facebook, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I stop what I'm doing and I go to your feed.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, if Mark Roberge is saying that, then we're doing pretty good.
Well, it's exciting, and my favorite thing about you is like if there's something local going on. Like honestly, the first thing that I check is your feed because you're in touch locally before everybody else. So on a local level, I check what's going on with you. I see what you're reporting, and I love reading all the comments because either people hate you or they love you, and it's fucking awesome.
But they're all on my page.
But they're all talking shit, and it's awesome. It's entertaining. So like I'll do that. That's like me kind of like taking 5 minutes out of my day just to zone out of something and get entertained. But it's also to be informed. So it's kind of a little bit of both on your page. And then on the national level, I do what I said. I go and I'll look at every major news outlet and get an opinion based off of what's all being reported. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's all bullshit. Everything's swayed. Everyone's pushing an agenda to piss either the other side off and get their support on their side, and it's actually it's sad that this is how it's turned out.
I think it's a threat to our democracy because half the country is living in one reality because they're watching CNN, and the other half of the country is living in a totally separate reality because they're watching Fox. And the same event happens, but you have 50% of the country believes it happened one way, 50% of the country believes it happens a different way, and there's no way to square those. There's no way to come to a compromise to actually solve any problems in our society because everybody's running to their corners.
Well, the biggest thing is right now in this world, we are the most communicated we've ever been that we could possibly be, but no one actually utilizes that. So like, for instance, when something crazy is going on, the first thing I do is I don't go to the news stations realistically. I go to someone that's going to be on the ground in touch, like locally that's you, and then nationally that's Periscope. So what I can do is I can get a feed of what's actually happening there live, and so that's how you form your own opinion.
Now I started on Periscope. Should I stopped Periscope because we couldn't download the video and I need it for like when I'm doing news. Is that worth going back to? Is Periscope worth going back to if I'm going to be doing live feeds and I'm going to be doing that kind of stuff? Because you're the genius.
Well, I think if you can do it on top of everything else you're doing, you should, because it's location based. Especially if it's a big news story nationally, people are going to check in. Like I remember when the hurricane down in Puerto Rico was happening, I was checking on there in Florida area, and I was looking in and I was seeing what was happening from the first person view of it, and so that was exciting. And then the same thing with all these rallies that were happening during Trump's when he first came into office and all this stuff. I would go on there and on Periscope you can see from the area and check in and how many people are periscoping, and you can kind of bounce around and see all the different views, and that was exciting.
And you bring that up, it begs another question. Given that the media lies so much, you would think they wouldn't lie as much, knowing that people like you and I can go to Periscope and Twitter and actually look it up and see for ourselves whether it's true or not.
90% of the world doesn't give a fuck to go that deep. That's the problem. They like the shallow side. They like what's just given them right there, and they're not going to go and take the time to go into those feeds and see and make an opinion on their own. They're just like, oh, I'll take that opinion from somebody else because I don't know why.
It's easy.
It's easy. They think it's trusted, or they just want to argue with their coworker tomorrow at the office. You know what I mean? So it's a weird world because with all this communication, all this ability to see what's going on, no one really takes the time to do it.
Yeah, it's sad.
It is.
Well, eventually I'm going to run into a rich friend that wants to start a cable news station that will blow everybody away, and I will run it. And trust me when I tell you, it's going to be. I'll be taking over the world after that. I'm going to be bigger than. We would be bigger than Zuckerberg, because there's a thirst out there for people who do just want news, right? Like people like you don't watch the news anymore because it's bullshit.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't bullshit, you'd go back, right? If there was a news station that started tomorrow that just gave you news, and it would be 5 minutes in Chicago and 5 minutes in Miami and 10 minutes in LA, giving you the biggest news stories in each area in each state, you'd watch that, right? I know I'd watch it.
Yeah, and you know what? The news is depressing now. It's all negative shit. It's always like, you know what? You feel like shit after you watch news.
Right.
You're like, what the fuck world am I in?
Yeah, the whole country's falling apart.
But it's not, though. There's always great things that are happening. You just don't hear about them. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you got to give the good with the bad at the same time. And if you're not getting it, then it's like, you're doing something wrong to your viewers. You're actually creating a reality for them that's just completely negative. Mm-hmm. And who the fuck wants to live in a negative world all the time?
Right.
That's stupid.
Yeah. Talk about, you've got some stuff coming up. I know you've got some projects coming up. Can you talk about any of them?
Yeah. I mean, we got a ton of things working right now. We launched the membership aspect at the studio, so that thing's rolling really, really. It's moving too fast. I actually just got the P&L from my finance manager on the way here. And
what's a P&L?
Our profit and loss, basically, our statement. So it just kind of shows how fast and how your cash flow, basically, and how everything's working. And our membership is growing too fast for us to even handle it right now. So it's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have.
Right.
So that's happening, and then now we're doing some partnering with one of 5 different major distribution channels, whether it's one of the 3 major labels, Warner, Sony, or Universal, or 2 of the independents, which is Ingrooves or Cobalt. So we're kind of taking agreements right now. We're getting contracts from all of them, and we're reviewing them, and we're going to actually launch a record label for our members, for all the artists in New England, and we're going to be able to sign
That's
people.
phenomenal.
We're going to be able
You are single-handedly revolutionizing the next step in music production and music marketing.
We're doing our best. We're doing something that I think
I swear to God, I think 5 years from now, everyone in LA is going to be copying your model, and they're going to be looking at you going, we got to get this guy on board as a consultant to help us with this because this is the guy that came up with it. Well, I think it's I've never heard. Maybe there's somebody else out there also doing it. I've never heard anything like that.
Well, as of right now, no. So we got to keep it quiet until it's
okay. All right, fair enough.
But so there's a lot of good stuff going on. We got a new Prospect Hill single that we're sitting on right now. That's going to go through this distribution channel. We're basically going to.
Can the Valley Patriot have the exclusive when you're ready?
You want the exclusive? You want to drop it? Yeah, we can.
That would be phenomenal.
So we can do all types of stuff. The song's called Get Out. We were actually took over Spooky World, and they allowed us to film the music video there.
That sounds fun.
And it was badass. It's like it's kind of another controversial song a little bit. It just kind of feeds into the fear of like what's going on with all the the mass hysteria and all these issues that go on, and how this world is had kind of made that turn into like this really scary, evil situation now where you have to worry about mass shootings and bullshit like that. So we kind of touch on that a little bit, and it's it's a cool song. It's a badass song. It's like it's a heavy one.
I know I'm going to like it before I even hear it because I've liked everything else that you guys have done. I want to do like 4 more minutes, and I want to bring Patrick up for the final segment. We'll take a quick break, and if you want to stay with us, you can. Can I bring up the elephant in the room? Is that okay?
Sure.
So you guys had a breakup at one point, and you guys and Adam kind of went your separate ways. And every time I promote you guys on Facebook, some guy comes on and starts giving us crap about, oh, yeah, they're not together anymore, and they had a big fight with Adam. And there's still a lot of people out there still thinking about that and still talking about that. But you guys have really kind of got back together, and you guys have worked out your differences. Can you just talk a little bit about that? Because, and I know it's tough, right? Because it was a tough situation. But I love Adam, and I love all the guys in your band, and I was devastated when I found out that you guys were kind of breaking up. And so happy when I found out that you guys were coming back together. It was almost like when Dave came back to Van Halen. I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it seems like there's a lot of people that still don't realize that we're all back together. It's funny. I see that all the time, too.
They remember the breakup, but they never remember the get-together, right?
Yeah, and it's fine. What happened was, I'm such a, driven, motivated human, and I'm just like, I want to go, and I want to push this thing to as big as I can get it. And that takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of people moving together as one. And what happens is, as the years go by and certain things go on in people's lives within the band, their personal lives and whatnot, things get hard, it gets complicated, and people sometimes aren't as focused as others. And so that's kind of one of the issues that we had. And we're like brothers, no matter what. At the end of the day, Adam, if Adam called me right now, even when we weren't back together, if he called me right now and he's in the hospital, I'd be the first one there, and that's the way we roll. But we just needed to do something in order to kind of change it up and get things moving in one direction. And what it did was it actually, it made us stronger as a whole, as personally, individually, and then as one band. And so when we decided to say, hey, listen, let's bring this thing back together as a collective, as the initial group. And we actually brought Andy Bocart back in, Andy Tats. Mm-hmm. So he's back. And so now we got a band of 6 right now. We got 3 guitar players, which we probably don't need, but it's awesome. It's like having the family back in.
It's such a group of incredible talent put all together in one band, where you got Adam, who's got such a distinct voice. He's so fucking talented. I hate the guy. You almost want to hate him because he's so talented. And then on top of that, you've got Edgar, who's just as talented. Edgar is just amazing.
He's awesome.
And you guys are all in the same band. Even the guitarist and the. You guys are all in one. It's almost like Van Halen. I keep going back to Van Halen because that was my favorite band in high school.
I like that comparison. I mean, I think Van Halen's one of the greatest bands ever.
Yeah, me too.
But I love to be at that level, But like I said, we're going to be in a trajectory very soon with this new record and all the stuff I've been doing behind the scenes. That's actually going to help us and get us even further out there. So, we're looking at a potential. Hopefully, there's discussions of maybe a week to 2 week tour out in Europe in June, and we're going to have some new show announcements. We got the Lawrence St. Patty's Day Parade.
Excellent.
New single coming out.
I will be there.
So there's going to be a ton of stuff going on this whole year. We're going to be busy, and then I'm thinking 2019 is going to be the year that we might do another full national tour.
That'll be awesome. We'll be there no matter where it is. We'll be there for sure because I love watching you guys live. I've gone to see Shakira. I've gone to see Lenny Kravitz. I love going to concerts. They never sound as good in concert as they do in their studio. And anybody who goes to concerts on a regular basis knows that. But if you go to a Prospect Hill concert, you walk out of there going, wow, they're better live than they are in their studio. And again, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. If I thought your live show sucked, I'd tell you.
Appreciate it.
I always have admired people who are, I said it at the beginning, I want to wrap up with this, people who are very good at what they do and are passionate and love what they do. I've always, like Willie Lantigua and I always hated each other, but I always had a respect for him because the guy's a mastermind at politics. He's a genius at politics. And even though our personalities didn't get along, I always had tremendous respect for him because he's just so good at what he does. Yeah. And I feel the same way about you guys. It's a labor of love for you, so it's not work, and it shows. It shows that you guys enjoy what you're doing. And I hope you guys to have all the success in the world, and hopefully I can at least be in the audience when you're having it because I love watching you guys have the fun that you have.
I appreciate it, Tom. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. And you're welcome to come on in. You're actually going to be at our bash, right? March 23rd,
Yep.
You're coming to the bash?
Yep.
Can we get you, maybe get up and sing a song or something? Or?
Yeah, I'll try to get out of there.
Enough beers. We're gonna get enough beers in them first.
Yeah. You gotta get me licking up a little bit.
So, all right, we're gonna come. You're free to stay if you want. We want to bring Patrick up for 2 minutes to talk about Twin Light Security because they sponsor the show, And I don't know if I'm actually explaining what they do right every week, but since the guy who owns the company is here, I figure we'll bring him up and we'll just talk a couple of seconds about Twin Light Security.
Awesome.
And investigations. We'll be back after this, maybe like a 1 minute or 2 minute break if we can. I want to thank Stu Fink, our fine producer, and of course my photographer Rick